All right, Ramon, what's happening?
Yo, ABL, you ready for your latest bookshelf confessional?
Yes, indeed.
So, apparently, Hillary Clinton responded to the whole controversy over what she said in India, and she said that the people had misunderstood her remarks.
I mean, what was his
And
misunderstanding? She was pretty clear to me.
well, according to the Daily Wire, let me see here. She said during an interview last week with an Indian news publication, I was asked about 2016 and whether Trump is the virus or a symptom of something deeper going on in American society. Like most Americans, people overseas remain shocked and dismayed at what they are witnessing daily. So she said her first instinct was to defend Americans and explain how Donald Trump could have been elected. And then there's like five more paragraphs of nonsense.
I mean, if you defend Americans, then why throw a lot of Americans under the bus? You're defending the Americans you want to defend because they voted for you, but those who did not vote for you, didn't defend them.
Can I send this to you on Skype?
Yeah, go for it.
So you can, I mean, because it's going to take forever for me to read this. So you can enjoy this later. Um, anyway, so I saw that earlier on the Daily Wire. I also have been doing a lot more work on, trying to. I did some video on Dankula like you did, and as somebody, I've grown up. I have, I had grandparents that they survived the Holocaust on one side, and my dad talks about it all the time because his parents went through it. This is the biggest like farce of all time that they're putting a guy in prison for a dog video. The fact is, in my treatment yesterday, I brought up like three films, and that's like a small sample of the ones that made fun of Germany and the Nazis. There was "Springtime for Hitler" by Mel Brooks. If you've ever seen that, that's a song from the Producers. Do you know what I'm
Okay.
talking about? So
No.
so it's like a musical that he made in 1968,
Uh.
and the whole premise of the movie is that these playwrights, they wanted to make a movie that was so bad, or a play that was so bad that nobody would like it because they'd overfinanced it, like they sold too many shares of the production. So they made a play called Springtime for Hitler. So, it's like a satire film. And then there was I don't know if you've ever heard of this movie, but it's called The Black Gestapo, and it's like a black exploitation film. You ever seen Dolomite?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's the same genre, but it's about these black militants that they end up getting beat up, so they decide they have to go harder, so they become the Black Gestapo. So, I mean, there's a lot, and then there's Hogan's Heroes and everything. So this is so ridiculous now that with the Count Dankula and given all the stuff that's happening with Tommy Robinson, who I support. By the way, I've been arguing with people in Britain who say, well, Tommy's he should have the right to talk, but he's way far right or whatever. I tell them if they actually watch his productions and his his content, there's nothing far right about it. He's just talking about the truth. And some of the rape gangs that he's talking about, they get off of prison. In fact, I got a notification earlier from a friend that um, three suspects in one of the rape gangs over in Rotherham got acquitted,
Wow.
or the charges were just thrown out. So they're going free. So these are rape gang affiliates, and they're not even going to serve a day in prison.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, that's the bigger things that are going on right now. And then about anti-Semitism and stuff. You have a lot of radical Islamic imams, clerics, or whatever, and then they spew anti-Jewish hate all day, every day in front of their congregation. But I never hear about them getting brought up on charges or being drugged in front of a court. You got all kind of little sinners that is known for producing terrorists, but somehow those aren't investigated. I mean, I see the hypocrisy.
Well, I'll tell you a story, and you're gonna think it's ridiculous. And I think like a long time ago, me and you had like a Facebook argument on about Israel. But yesterday, I got into a Facebook argument with the head of the Israel advocacy movement in Britain, which is it's a pretty small group. And I said to him, what he did was he was talking about Speaker's Corner over there, where Tommy Robinson had to have like a whole escort because a bunch of Muslims came over there and were threatening to beat him senseless. So this guy, he thanked three of the leaders of the Muslim crowd for not getting violent and for keeping the peace with the crowd.
Right.
And I said to him, "What are you, out of your mind? You're thanking Islamists for not being violent?" You know what? And you know what I really wanted to say to him was to think, are you going to thank them next for not raping your girl,
Wow.
or something? It's ridiculous. And you know, I really gave him. I could send you by the way, I sent you an article in the Skype, but I can send you another article for later if you just want to read it yourself. I take him to task for because he keeps arguing, you know, his real fight is the existential threat of you know, Israel and whatever, and that's why he doesn't focus on British issues. So I said to him, you know, if you're having rape gangs going all over the country, and you know, there's these parades of people with their flags talking about expanding the Ummah to Britain and whatever. Why do you think people don't care about what you think? You live in Britain, and you're claiming that British Muslims are more of a threat to Israel, which you don't live there, than they are to Britain. Yeah, you can walk and chew gum at the same time. You don't have to just believe in. You don't have to focus on one thing only. I mean, it's not like you have only one hand. I mean, you have two eyes, two hands. It's ridiculous. And I really did lay into him. And at the end of the, you know, now people are all like laughing at him because the only people commenting on his thread are people like us and hardcore Muslims that are calling him a Zionist puppet and the Jew and stuff like that. So nobody understands anything. Like he's making no point. He's trying to be, and you know, he said, "This is what I get for being a moderate." I said, you know, even if you're a moderate, you can still be full of s. You know, just because you're a moderate doesn't mean that you're right.
That's right.
So you know, like I said, I don't care about Tommy. You know, there's things probably Tommy Robinson says that I don't agree with. You shouldn't have to remind people of that every time that just because you support something that somebody says, that you don't support everything they say. So, you know, that's kind of what I've been dealing with over the past couple days. Anyway, so the article I sent you, I'm probably going to be producing a video on, so take a look out for that. So Farrakhan feminism is basically turning the Women's March into Swiss cheese right now. They've had their head of social media engagement step down because Tamika Mallory wouldn't disavow Louis Farrakhan, you know, and for the wrong reasons, by the way, because this is really an issue. I'll say to you clearly that you can still be a feminist and be an anti-Semite. But you can't be a feminist and support somebody who says women who don't cook for their kids are lazy and they're poisoning their kids if they take them to McDonald's.
You definitely can't do that. You know, I know all about that Nation of Islam. I know guys in the nation. That's the total anti-feminist. I mean, it's the complete opposite of feminism.
Yeah, and you know, I talk to people who, I don't know if they're in the Nation of Islam, but they support Farrakhan. And, you know, I've said to them, it's fine. I'm just saying that the Women's March people, there's a contradiction there. The people in the Democratic Party, there's a contradiction there. So this article has like a quick update on all of that, all these people who have gone back and forth. The Congressman Danny Davis of Chicago actually admitted that the reason he accepts Farrakhan and likes working with him is because he needs him to get elected. So he admitted that on the phone with the Daily Caller.
Wow.
Yeah, and I looked at his voting, the voting for his district in the primaries. I have a hard time believing that he really needs the Nation of Islam in order to get elected. But the most important thing for everybody out there watching right now, is that there was a there was a rally, I think, that happened Monday, where members of the National Action Network, which is Sharpton's group,
Yes.
and Black Lives Matter, and the new Black Panther Party all went to Congress to lobby the CBC and other people to support Farrakhan and renounce Donald Trump. So
wow.
so if you go to the article again, I'm going to be producing a video, but if you go through the article, I have video links to the head of the new Black Panther Party. He had an interview in like it was in 2000 with a BBC reporter, where he literally insulted two white women to their face, said that he would never even look at a white woman, they're disgusting to him. So he's dead already. His name is Khalid Abdul Muhammad. But if you look through their
remember Khalid Muhammad, yeah.
Yeah, you can see videos of him. By the way, he's not as funny and humorous as Louis Farrakhan. So.
Oh no, Khalid Muhammad was dead serious.
Yeah, he was like, everything he did was like creepy, and you can see from the conversation that he literally has no sense of humor about anything. So yeah, so you have everybody's talking about how, this isn't a big deal and whatever. Well, now you have Al Sharpton, who works for MSNBC. This is an important part. MSNBC employs this guy. He was involved in inciting the Crown Heights riot, which was between Jews and blacks. He was involved in the Freddie Fashion Mart protest, which led to the murder of 7 people there. The 7 people murdered were black, but the owner was the owner of the shop was a Jew. So he incited his crowd to go in there and bust the place up. And one of the people actually took him seriously and went in there, poured some gasoline around, held the people hostage with an illegal handgun, burned it down. 7 people died of suffocation, and then he shoots himself in the head. So that's Al Sharpton for you. And Keith Ellison penned a letter in his in Medium. If you know Medium, the blog site, right?
Yes.
So he penned a letter where he denied ever having any links with Louis Farrakhan. Like he denied. He said that he just worked for the Million Man March and that's it. But that's he was in the Nation of Islam for years. So
right.
it's like I think we have to start getting the word out there. So read the article. If you don't share, please share the article too, honestly. But if you can, please start contacting MSNBC and ask them why they even have this Al Sharpton on their TV channel with his record. They complain left and right about anti-Semitism, and they have Ari Melber up there whining like a wet mop. It's time for them to put their money where their mouth is and get rid of all. Just get rid of MSNBC. Then we would probably solve the whole problem. But they could start with Al Sharpton.
Yes.
Anyways, I'm not going to, talk up your entire stream. So keep going and keep up the good work, buddy.
Thank you for the call, man. Definitely appreciate you.
Oh, did you say that you were going to do interviews too?
Yes, I am. I got a lot of them. I'm trying to get lined up right now because people are asking, and I know it's gonna be my next thing, doing more interviews. So I got a lot more coming up.
So please remember the 2 that I kept asking you to do, which are Larry Sharp, and Gary Byrne.
Will do.
All right.
Have
a good night.
Thank you. All right. Shout out to Ramon for the call. About Khalid Muhammad, right quick before we get to the next call. If you know a guy named Farrakhan, remember it was a kid back in the day that was selling rocks door to door. I don't mean crack. I mean literal rocks from the ground. And he would paint like stuff on the rocks and sell them door to door. Yeah, that kid is Khalid Muhammad's son. Look him up, Farrakhan. Not involved with Nation of Islam or nothing like that. He's just a regular guy, a businessman. Look him up, Farrakhan.